Alrighty, so this is my lymphatic flow presentation. So as you can see, there's diagrams. Here's the whole body outlining the lymph nodes, and then it gets broken down into the specific parts. So here's a diagram of the head and neck. It shows the different nodes associated with it. And then over to the right, it shows the different vessels and lymph nodes involved with the head and neck cancers and lymph nodes. So there are deep cervical lymph nodes, and then there's superficial. So the first two are going to be the deep ones. There's the left jugular lymphatic trunk and the right jugular lymphatic trunk. So the left jugular lymphatic trunk empties into the left subclavian vein, and the right drains into the right subclavian vein. And then the superficial lymph nodes, they typically form a ring. It's gonna have the occipital lobe, or the occipital node, and you can see I put where they drain to. There's the mastoid, the preauricular, the parotoid, the submental, submandibular, facial, and cervical, or superficial cervical. And then the superficial cervical can actually be divided into two other groups, which are going to be the superficial anterior cervical nodes and the posterior lateral superficial cervical lymph nodes. And then again, it just shows where they drain from and to. Here is the breast. And for the breast, they are typically drained through the axillary lymph nodes, but they can be drained by the internal mammillary lymph nodes. So the axillary lymph nodes, these are going to be the different types, except obviously this one. This is the internal mammillary. So there's the subclavian, the brachial, the central, subscapular, intrapectoral, which are also Rotter's nodes, pectoral, infraclavicular, and internal mammillary. So, like I said, it tells you where it drains from. So, brachial drains from upper extremities, subscapular drains from the posterior neck, shoulder, trunk, pectoral drains from the lateral aspect of the breast and abdominal wall, and it drains into the central group. So that's just like a recap. And then the lung, there are several groups of lymph nodes that are associated with it, and they're known as tracheobronchial lymph nodes. And then these are the different nodes that are associated with those specific lymph nodes. There are also different subpleural plexuses, which are going to be superficial and deep. And then, yeah. Here's the female pelvis, the male pelvis. You can see the different lymph nodes. And then, so they're pretty similar. So I just listed, this is going to be for both of them, and then this is a brief difference between them. So they both have the external iliac nodes, the internal iliac nodes, the sacral lymph nodes, the common iliac lymph nodes, which the common iliac lymph nodes can be further separated into lateral, posterior, intermediate, and then medial. And how they drain, so obviously lateral continues off the external iliac, posterior receives lymph from external and internal iliac nodes, and medial is going to be below the aortic bifurcation, and receives lymph nodes from internal iliac nodes. And then here is the large bowel. Obviously you can see the whole thing. There's the colon, the rectum, all that stuff. And then it's further separated into how it drains. So I included how the right colon drains from the superior mesenteric vessels into the ileocolic and right coliac nodes, and the left colon drains from the inferior mesenteric vessels into the regional nodes. And then the transverse colon goes from the pericolic and the middle colic. The anus receives or contains the perirectal, the superficial inguinal, internal iliac, femoral, and lateral sacral nodes. The rectum contains the perirectal and the sigmoid mesenteric nodes, and the bladder then contains the external and internal iliac nodes. So here you just can see the whole presentation broken down. I can't draw, so I did the man printed out. That's my presentation.